This Russian woman is running for president. Can she win? Ar čia tai, kur uždraudė ranint galų gale, ar kažką ten tai padarė? Nesu tikras, pažiūrėkim.
In a country like modern Russia, which is not exactly well known for its free speech, saying something to criticize the governments is already a pretty brave thing to do. However, you know what's even more brave? Running for president of Russia against Vladimir Putin.
Меня зовут Екатерина Дунцова, я выдвигаю свою кандидатуру на выборы президента России в 2024 году. В феврале 2022 года действующий президент объявил о начале проведения специальной военной операции, и теперь каждый день гибнут люди. А я уверена, что они хотели жить. Все мы хотим жить, нам нужен мир.
What is up, guys? It is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian. How you guys doing today? Welcome to a brand new video, and that is correct. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Ekaterina Duntsova, a regular Russian woman, a 40-year-old single mother with 3 children that supposedly came out of nowhere and is currently trying to run for president.
Aš nemačiau Blade Runner filmo, by the way.
So, if you guys actually out of the loop on what's happening in Russia right now, Russia is about to have...
La, kodėl šitą bobą pavojingesnį už Putiną? Kodėl tai pasakėjai? Aš nieko apie nežinau, tai aš asking for... I love it, nemeluosiu. I loved it, nemeluosiu. Aš turiu legaliai nusipirkęs tą filmą. Aš kažkurią dieną noriu jį pažiūrėti, bet... Nu, turbūt jo aktoriai, turbūt vien dėl to jo tą panašų esu matęs ar screenshots ar video, ten žiauriai gerai atrodo. Atrodo, tam filmų mėlynais plaukais, ten buvo kažkokioje scenoje ir tai iškart sudomino, galvoju, čia clearly bus geras filmas. Okay.
Its next presidential election in March of 2024. And yes, guys, thanks for asking, we still do have elections. And of course, guys, don't you worry, Vladimir Putin is running in 2024.
Сейчас такое время, когда нужно принимать решение. Я буду баллотироваться на должность президента Российской Федерации.
He's just announced it quite recently, so I guess we know who's gonna win. Because one thing guys have to realize about Russian elections is that they have not really been honest or fair for about the last 20 years or so. Russia is notorious for its voter fraud and corrupt elections. This is not even a conspiracy, this stuff is really easy to find in the internet, footage of actual voter fraud and fake ballots being thrown in. This happens at every single election, and also the people that are allowed to run for presidents in Russia are usually either controlled governmental opposition from such parties as the Communist Party of Russia or LDPR. We essentially just have the same exact people running for 20 years in a row, or you might have certain fake liberal candidates. And these are usually, by the way, the only people that participate in presidential debates.
Tipo, tą patį argumentą, nu, literally gali kartoti, bet ką žinai. Oi, čia tie patys, nu, beje, Leksus ir kartoja, kad, nu, ir vakarų pasauliu, žiūrėk, visi tie rinkimai papirkti, žiūrėk, va, Trumpas sakė, kad papirkti rinkimai, ir pokių, kad įrodymų nerado. Institucijos, taigi, aišku, jam paklūsta, lygiai taip pat kaip Rusija, negalima, nu, pasakyti. Tik tie žmonės dažniausiai pamiršta porą dalykų, porą esminių skirtumų. Kad ir kaip jie norėtų lyginti, ir kad ir kaip tupiem žmonėm, jo, tikrai skirtumų nėra, Rusija lygu Amerika tas pats. Bet jeigu tu actually pradedi lyginti, Putinas valdžioje ten 180 metų, you know, ir kai nori pasodinti, kad, ar apkaltinti iš viso, kad ir Trumpą nusikaltimais, kur lesbionės jis for sure padarė, ten 15 metų renka įrodymus ir tada klausimas, ar dar iš vis nuteis, tai nežinau, ant kokios ant kojos tie argumentai stovi. Goslingas panašus į karalių, tikrai ne, bet mūsų veidas, man atrodo, ovalo formos, man atrodo, Paika yra tas sakius, kad, nu, iš to, kaip čia iš to feature, nežinau, anyway.
Debates in Russia, because those do happen, and a lot of very funny and bizarre things happen at these debates. However, Vladimir Putin, throughout his years in power, has not participated in a presidential debates even once. And Putin doesn't like debate very much in general. I actually made a video about this, why Putin never debates anybody, was never challenged in front of the camera. You should watch it, it's pretty good stuff. But also another feature of Russian elections is that people who can actually endanger the current governments are just not allowed to run. For example, Alexei Navalny, the Russian journalist and politician who's currently in jail, was trying to run for presidency in 2018 and actually had a huge campaign. However, he was not allowed to run by the Russian governments because of his felonies. that the Russian government installed in them, by the way. Very convenient. And as a result, what happens is that every single election in Russia has a rather predictable turnout. And I personally think 2024 is going to be the same. However, this presidential race is getting more interesting because now we have a new candidate, a regular woman from rural Russia, running for president. So, who is she? Who is this woman that is brave enough to rival Vladimir Putin and that is confident enough that she would announce that she's running for president? Meet Ekaterina Duntsova, a Russian local politician and journalist. Ekaterina is 40 years old, she lives in the town of Rzhev in Tver Oblast, and for a few years now, Ekaterina Duntsova has essentially been running a local newspaper, a local media, in her small town of Rzhev, talking about the issues in the region of the town and trying to get them fixed. She actually became the member of the Rzhev City Duma, so essentially the city council, and she had that position for about 3 years. And Ekaterina Duntsova is essentially just a regular Russian woman with 3 children from a small town. And Ekaterina was actually never really known outside of her region and outside of her city for her work. So she's not a celebrity or a media personality or whatever. She's not well known for the Russian public, essentially. Both for the normies and for the liberals, I guess. And in November of 2023, she announced that she would like to run for president. So let's check out her campaign video.
Меня зовут Екатерина Дунцова, я выдвигаю свою кандидатуру на выборы президента России в 2024 году. В феврале 2022 года действующий президент объявил о начале проведения специальной военной операции, и теперь каждый день гибнут люди. А я уверена, что они хотели жить. Все мы хотим жить, и нам нужен мир. Жить в мире – это значит уважать и любить друг друга, невзирая на наши религиозные, культурные и политические различия.
So yes, this is Mrs. President. You know, you should be grateful to meet her. But on a serious note, here's the major part about...
Bля, nelaimės nahui eit. Smailas, smailas, smailas. Stebuklo tikis, bля, vakar kaip tik tokius, kur taip sako, durniais pavadinau ir dabar tu taip prašai. Nu, blin, nu. Į rinkimus eina žmonės dėl 100 skirtingų priežasčių. Viena iš jų yra tiesiog gauti populiarumo, politinio statuso. Viena yra tiesiog politinė karjera savo įti priekį. Tu gali visiškai nebūti tavo tikslas laimėti rinkimus. Tu gali atstovauti partiją, tu gali atstovauti tam tikras idėjas. Tu gali belenkiek priežasčių turėti, kad raninti, nes su ta idėja, puikiai suvokiant, kad tu greičiausiai nelaimėsi rinkimų. Aišku, Rusijai, aišku, tu nelaimėsi rinkimų, bet belenkur kitur. Tai, jo, aš nežinau, kaip kvailai kartais. Labas, apelsinė.
Ekaterina Duntsova and her entire platform is that the basis of her platform is that the special military operation needs to be put to a stop. And she prefers to only use those terms that are allowed in Russia and those that are legal so that she doesn't essentially become a criminal and that she can actually still run for the presidency. But that is the big point, that the special operation has to stop. So not only is she just trying to essentially define the order in Russia in this entire presidential race by, having the goal to run in the first place, but also she's running on a anti-war platform, which is probably the biggest deal about this entire thing. And all I have to say is, I feel like she might be in danger. And
dėl to ir Gražulis bandys Europos parlamento rinkimuose, koks politikas benori kažkur kandidatuoti. Esmė ta, kad Gražulis nelabai turi kur kitur kandidatuoti, nes į Seimą jis negali 10 metų dabar, kai jį nušalino, o tenais tą Europos parlamentą gali, tai jis nelabai dabar turi net pasirinkimą. Europos parlamentas daug žiauriai gera vieta, jeigu ten praeini belenkiek pinigų gauni irgi, skaityk belenkiek svarbus tie posėdžiai, I guess, nežinau.
She has very huge balls. Forgive me for putting it this way, but I don't know what else to say. A very, very brave woman. Unless she's a plant by the Kremlin, of course, but we will discuss that theory a little bit later.
Нам нужно заново научиться разговаривать и всем вместе заниматься решением проблем нашей...
Aš beje neįtikėtinai skeptiškai žiūriu visą šitą kandidatūrą ir tos rinkimus, Rusija, man atrodo, reikia taip žiūrėti. Čia aš nieko apie nežinau, mažiausiai aš tikiu politikais, kur ten sako, aš čia pakeisiu, kažką ir panašiai. Įmanoma, kad tai tiesiog, lokali, politika, žurnalistė ir nusprendė, demokratija iš tikrųjų Rusijoje yra ir aš pakeisiu Rusiją. Jo, good luck, aha. Bet yra ir įmanoma ir 100 kitų sąmokslo teorijų, bet vėlgi, ar jinai iš vis gali dalyvauti? Ar aš nemačiau, kad kažkuriai ten moteriai uždraudė iš vis dalyvauti? LRT iš karto bent jau pirmas. Neleidus Duntsovai dalyvauti Rusijos prezidento rinkimuose, jis žada kurti partiją. Ai, nu tai čia prieš savaitę, kiek net LRT jau buvo parašius, kad jie vis dėlto uždraudė dalyvauti. Tai all right, nu gal jin ir buvo tada viena normalesnių tada, nes, nu, to ir tikėtumėmės, I guess.
Сейчас многие из них отошли на второй план, и даже коррупция воспринимается как данность, чуть ли не норма. Но это не норма. Бедность, когда пенсионерам с трудом хватает только на коммуналку, еду и лекарства. Это не норма, как и то, что за всех в стране все решает один человек. Он один определяет наше с вами будущее, а должны определять все мы. Сегодня ни у кого из нас нет ответов, что будет через несколько лет в нашей с вами стране. Можно ли будет говорить свободно то, что мы думаем? Закроют ли границы? Сколько будет еще волн мобилизации? Будем ли мы жить лучше, богаче? Какое оно будущее нашей страны? У нас должны быть ответы на все эти вопросы. Я иду в президенты России, чтобы у всех нас и у нашей страны было будущее, и чтобы мы с вами все вместе его определяли.
I'm really getting a certain feeling of deja vu in a sense, because it's been a long time since I've heard somebody, you know, say something like this so clearly, so openly, and sort of defy, you know, the narrative of the government so openly as well. The last time I probably heard something like this was when Navalny, once again, ironically, was running for presidency in 2018, and, you know, the stuff he was saying back then. It's just really strange at this point, where in Russia, you know, the big celebrities and YouTubers, everybody's being silenced, everybody's, you know, afraid to say the wrong thing or whatever. It's so refreshing to just hear a person just, you know, say like real things.
Одной мне не справиться, и мне нужна ваша помощь. Для регистрации кандидатом в президенты мне необходимо собрать и предоставить в Центральную избирательную комиссию 300 тысяч подписей. Это очень сложная задача, и на сбор подписей у нас будет очень мало времени. Сейчас мы готовим открытие центров сбора подписей во всех крупных городах России. Если вы готовы поставить подпись в поддержку моего выдвижения, заполните форму на моем сайте.
Here we gotta get to the points where I destroy your hopes, I guess, but essentially, guys, what happened is that Ekaterina Duntsova, just a few days ago, just tries to actually apply as a candidate to the president of Russia, and she was denied. Guess what?
Lol.
Essentially, here's what happened. In Russia, if you would like to run for president, if you filled all the criteria, what you have to do is that first you have to get 500 signatures, then you have to submit your candidacy, it has to get pre-approved, and after that, you have to get 300,000 signatures of, you know, your voters, essentially, your supporters that want you to run for president. And basically, on the 23rd of December, Ekaterina Duntsova, with a ton of her supporters, actually went to the Russian Central Election Committee, and she went in and submitted her documents, and the election committee denied.
Екатерина Сергеевна, вы молодая женщина, у вас все еще впереди. Любое минус всегда можно перевести в плюс.
Ekaterina even the rights to essentially collect those 300,000 signatures in the first place. So they basically didn't even let her get to the second step of it. So I guess that's it. It's over. I mean, here's the thing, guys. Once again, first of all, I'm getting massive flashbacks to 2017 when Navalny was essentially trying to run his presidential campaign, and when he was actually going into the Central Election Committee and also trying to submit his candidacy.
А вы молодой, перспектива хорошая. Ну, как говорится, все у вас еще впереди.
I remember I was watching the live stream back then. I was like, something's like, there's no way this is happening. Like, I felt like something was happening. And the thing about Navalny is that back then, this was before he was considered like extremist and everything related to him was considered extremist. Navalny and his team actually opened up their own centers in a ton of cities around Russia. There was even one in Chelyabinsk, for example, where people could go in and actually leave a signature for Navalny. And it really felt like there's something brewing and something happening, you know? However, here with what is happening with Ekaterina Duntsova, first of all, she has to submit these 300,000 signatures before the end of January of next year, right? So this is pretty much around the corner. There's basically barely any time already. And just with the way, you know, the situation currently is in Russia, I just highly doubt that she would be allowed to have people on the streets, you know, promoting her or whatever, like what Navalny was doing in 2018. I just highly doubt that that is possible right now. So this is the official website. Right here it says, let's give our country its future back. Ekaterina Duntsova, lawyer and journalist, candidate to presidency of Russia. I like this passage right here. Why am I trying to become a president? For at least the last 10 years, our country has been going in the wrong direction. We're sailing towards not progress, but towards self-destruction. Every single day, the life of regular Russians becomes harder. The civilians are not allowed to openly state their opinion if it's not the same as the position of the government. The amount of the political prisoners is rising. uprising, and hundreds of thousands of people have been essentially pushed out of the country. The local governments are practically destroyed, and in this huge country, everything is decided by one person. Quotation marks, military operations on the territories of nearby countries lead to unavoidable isolation and degradation. Our last allies are Iran, North Korea, and Eritrea, but even they might turn away from us. I mean, did she lie? That's all really I have to say here. I don't see lies. What do we have to do? The country needs a very quick change. We need to stop the military conflicts. We need democratic reform. We need to free the political prisoners. We need to cancel all the anti-human laws. We need to rebuild our relationships with the outside world. We need to change the budget, spend money on the lives of civilians and not new tanks, give back the freedoms that we used to have, and we need to make the country attractive and comfortable for life. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
Make Russia great again. By the way, aš nežinau, kiek įmanoma būtų padaryti, net jeigu norėtum tu tą padaryti, kiek įmanoma būtų padaryti tos, kiek būtų realu įgyvendinti tokius tikslus. Aš dabar galvoju, kiek būtų realu. Net jeigu tave išrinktų, su tom jie išrenka, užbaigti karą. Ar tu taip tiesiog galėtum? Tiesiog, ar tu, net jeigu tave išrinktų, ar tu iš tikrųjų turėtum žmonių ten vietinį palaikymą, ar ne tik žmonių, nežinau, kaip tu tą padarytum, nes tipo, sunku politikoje apsitai, gal Rusija ir nesunku padaryti drastiškus sprendimus, bet čia aš labiau gal apie demokratiją kalbu, kur labai lėtas tas procesas būna, gal tokio kaip Rusija nusprendė ir viskas, I don't know. Lygtais kažkada buvo, aš nežinau, šitą aš girdėjau jo, bet aš netikrinau šito. Kad ten pradžioj lygtais Rusija ar ten prašė, ar norėjo, ar ten buvo net svarstymas, kad prisijungtų, kažkas ten tokio buvo. Bet aš nežinau, aš niekada to biškai nesupratau, galvoju, how NATO buvo būtent tikslui sukurtas, kad, prieš Rusiją gintis šalim. Nors jeigu Rusiją prijungtum, tai kaip ir supergynyba būtų, I guess. Bet jo, nežinau, nesigilinu apie tą, neskaičiau nieko.
Currently, being interviewed by pretty much every single Russian liberal anti-Putin media and stuff. The West is talking about her as well, and essentially, just in general, the media currently is excited about this sort of new character here in the...
Bet jo, dabar tai Rusijos nieks nepasitikės, tikiuosi nieks nepasitikės labai ilgą laiką, nes jų įstojimas į kažką, pasirašymas sutarčių visiškai nieko nereiškia. Rusai tą parodė labai užtikrintai, tai who gives a shit dabar.
Political sphere in Russia. But here's the thing. First of all, I'm really not surprised at all that Ekaterina ended up being not allowed to actually participate in the election, because I'm just very sure that Russia and Putin do not want to repeat the Belarus scenario of 2020. Because what happened in 2020 is that Lukashenko jailed a prominent member of the opposition, Tikhanovsky, who was basically Belarus's and then what happened is that his wife, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, decided to run for presidency, and she was actually allowed by the government to run, which is insane in the first place, right? But what happened is that Belarus, the country where seemingly, everybody loves Lukashenko and stuff, a ton of people ended up actually going out and voting not for Lukashenko, voting for Tikhanovskaya, and supposedly she actually won. Obviously, the regime did not end up being changed, and Lukashenko is still in power currently, but what happened is that by many regimes in the world, Lukashenko is currently considered as a non-legitimate leader, because he's holding on to power that he's essentially lost, an election that he's lost. And actually many countries recognize Svetlana Tikhanovskaya as the rightful leader of Belarus, right? So you could technically imagine something like this happening in Russia, where, a candidate like Ekaterina Duntsova, for example, somebody who, seemingly came out of nowhere, could actually get a lot of votes just from people that are, not very happy with everything that's going on. And I'm sure there's a lot of those people. I assure you that...
Pala, NATO tikslas nebuvo priešintis Rusijai.
There's a lot of those people.
What was the reason NATO was created? The North Atlantic Treaty Organization was created in 1949 by the United States, Canada, and several Western European nations to provide collective security against the Soviet Union. Kiek kartų aš jau tą paskaičiau žmonėm per paskutinius 2 savaitės, I have no idea, iš kur jūs traukėt dalykus. Literaliai priežastis, kodėl NATO atsirado. Ir beje, Sovietų sąjunga yra lygu Rusija. Kai Sovietų sąjunga sugriuvo, Rusija perėmė visą kas buvo. Ir nieks nekeitinant pavadinimų. Ten netgi Europos Sąjungos, kur ten suverenai prisipėsa prie tų dokumentų, nieks net nesivargino keist, nes it's the same fucking shit. Ten, kad Sovietų sąjunga lygu Rusija, tai obviously. Bet aš nežinau, iš kur žmonės traukia, kad dėl kažkokių kitokių priežasčių dar kažką, what the fuck. Tai buvo pagrindinė ir vienintelė priežastis. Tam sukurta buvo, tam įsteigta NATO buvo.
And obviously I assume that if something like that happens, it would really not end up well. And obviously, the Russian government doesn't want this kind of turmoil right now, when the country is already in a very strange state, right? So this is also one of the reasons why I believe she would never be allowed to run, because I don't think Putin wants to repeat the mistake of Lukashenko. And also, actually, another interesting thing that I've been hearing about Ekaterina Duntsova in this entire presidential campaign, some people, even in the liberal opposition in Russia, have actually been saying that it's very possible that Ekaterina could actually be a Kremlin plant, who could be a person that is sort of running in the presidential race, kind of just to show the regular people of Russia, like, hey, look, we have honest elections, and like, there's actual, political life in Russia, elections going on and whatever. It's not just Putin, guys. Come check out Russia,
Techniškai jo, dėl to, kad būtų mažiau karų su Rusija, nes Rusija puola visus, tai, I guess.
We have, female presidential candidates, by the way.
Aš taip prisimenu istoriją, bet tas SRS, jeigu taip jau visai tiksliai, šiandien nėra lygu Rusija, yra lygu Rusija. Tai yra lygu Rusija. Aš sakau, kad ten oficialiai taip ir buvo, kai Sovietų sąjunga griuvo, kad ar kažkaip ten, institucija, ar aš nežinau, kaip tai vyko, bet realiai tiesiog, sutapatino ir tarsi perleido. Nes ten buvo, kur ir sutarčių, man atrodo, visokių ten neperrašė, kad Sovietų sąjunga neegzistuoja, kad Rusija tarsi paveldėjo viską, ką Sovietų ten sąjunga buvo pasirašius, ar whatever, ten kai kurios, gal ne viską, bet tos esminius dalykus.
We have a true democracy over here. And the thing is, it's not exactly far-fetched to imagine that this theory might be true, because in the last election of 2018, for example, there was one particular candidate on the ballot, Ksenia Sobchak, who is actually a Russian celebrity, a journalist, a well-known, and she's actually...
Ką aš turiu minėti UN, pavyzdžiui, jungtinių tautų, pavyzdžiui, kėdė, turėjo Sovietų sąjungą, bet kai suiro, tiesiog Rusija paveldėjo. Kad tiesiog taip ir žiūrėjo, kad tai, iš esmės tas pats, kai kurios šalis paskelbė nepriklausomybę, jos nebedalys, bet Rusija tapo tas pats dalykas, tik paveldėjo tą patį dalyką. Todėl tu gali sakyti, Rusija, Sovietų sąjunga visi supranta, kad turėtų suprasti. Bet tas nekeičia fakto, kad kam NATO buvo sukurta.
Doing liberal sort of, kind of anti-Putin journalism for a few years now. And actually, she ran in the presidency in 2018. And a lot of people at the time, including Navalny, for example, claimed that Ksenia Sobchak was actually paid by the Kremlin to essentially be, a liberal spoiler. A sort of fake candidate in this election that, first of all, would show that Russia is, a democratic country where people can actually run and stuff. And also would be there so that, the people who would be pissed off about Navalny not running could vote for this liberal candidate because, she's like anti-Putin or whatever. And I personally actually do believe that Ksenia Sobchak was a fake candidate. So something like this happening, this person being in the pockets of the Kremlin and essentially just being a fake candidate to muddy the waters, that is possible. But again, when I'm talking about this, I do feel a little bit like kind of schizo because, I don't know, I do not want to make the claim that she's a Kremlin plant. And I honestly don't know. But I personally somehow get the feeling that she's genuine. And again, from her biography, from the stuff she's done before, she seems like a decent enough person. And, I have really nothing bad to say about her. I really don't have anything bad to say about what she's been saying during this entire, campaign or whatever you could call it. So, yeah, what can I say? I guess we stand.
Per mažai aš apie žinau tikrai,
and honestly,
kad nuspręs kažką apie ją.
Democratic Russia, I think it's very possible for Russia to have a female president at one point. Russia is not nearly really as misogynistic as a lot of people like to imagine. And since kind of the Soviet times, there is a certain tradition in Russia of women being in positions of power and stuff like that. So I believe that if a woman was running for president of Russia, she would have very good chances of actually winning. But obviously in the current system, with everything that's going on right now, these people are just not allowed to run in the first place. And it is what it is. What do you think? Is this a genuine person that is actually trying to make a change? And is this somebody that is actually, you know, very brave, that actually wants the best for Russia? Because, I mean, once again, if she's doing this for real, she, once again, has huge cojones. That's what I'm gonna say. So, you know, I'm pressing that to pay respects. Or do you guys think that she's an industry plant, basically? A Kremlin plant that is basically just here to create conversation and kind of muddy the waters and sort of, you know, for people to not notice what was happening with election or in Ukraine? I really honestly have no idea at this point. Anything can really happen in Russia at this point, guys. So all I can say here is that I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, then please make sure to slap the like button. And once again, guys, if you would like to pay my rent, support me financially, if you like what I do on this channel, then make sure to go over to the description, become a YouTube member.
Okay. Nu, viskas aišku. Ne, tai galų galėjai uždraudė dalyvauti ir tom ir baigėsi istorija, bet nežinau, ar ten aš iškart tikėčiau dalykais. Gerai. Koks vakaras ilgas, kaip širdį man